Imagine a place where time slows down, the cocktails are cold, the music swings, the outfits are fabulous, and every sunset feels like the start of a Hollywood dream. Welcome to Tiki Oasis, the world's largest and longest running celebration of all things swanky, tropical, and retro cool. This isn't just a weekend event, it's a full blown 5-night escape into paradise, complete with poolside tunes, fashion shows, vintage art, curated cocktails, tiki torches, and a vibrant community of dreamers, doers, and dancers. And right here today on SoCal with Val, we're diving into the heart of this spectacular phenomenon with the power couple who started it all, Otto von Stroheim, the original tiki torch bearer, and the fabulous Baby Doe, the creative visionary behind the color, the costumes, and the cultural revival that is Tiki Oasis. This is really special because it marks their 25th anniversary. So whether you're a lifelong Tiki fan or you're just curious what all the bamboo and rum is about, get ready to be inspired, enchanted, and maybe you can even book a room and join them. Tiki is back, the vibe is alive, and this is a conversation you won't want to miss. So welcome to SoCal with Val, and today's episode is about Tiki Oasis. Welcome, Otto and Baby Doe. We are so excited to have you.
Aloha. We're happy to be here.
I've learned so much about this, and all the preparation that I've done, things that I've learned. I have your bio, but I'd rather hear it from you. So one of you go first and tell us your history of yourselves. Who are you? Where have you been?
Okay, I'm Otto von Stroheim, sometimes known as DJ Otto. I grew up in Southern California, going to Knott's Berry Farm and Disneyland and other theme parks like Busch Gardens. And
right. Yeah, that's a name from the past. Yeah.
Yeah. San Fernando Valley, Hollywood Boulevard, Torrance Beach, Tony's on the Pier, places like that, Redondo Beach. And when I became an adult, past age 21, drinking age, I found tiki bars very appealing, naturally appealing to me, and tropical landscaping, which was all around the neighborhoods around Santa Monica and Culver City, where I later lived as an adult, and all around the San Fernando Valley. Banana trees, birds of paradise, palm trees were everywhere. And I thought that was just natural. Like, I thought everybody across the U.S. had stuff like that. And I thought they had tiki bars, within driving distance of their house that they could go to for dinner. And I started rediscovering those places where I lived. And I realized that Southern California was pretty special and that there was a lot of tiki bars there. Now, everywhere across America had tiki bars. Every town in the 60s and early 70s had tiki bars, but Southern California had a lot. So everybody in Southern California knew what a tiki bar was. So when I told my other friends that grew up in Southern California or who had moved there later that I was into tiki bars, they kind of had an idea of what it was. I didn't have to do much explaining.
And then you started a zine.
Yes, tell us about your.
I'll let him kind of like
wrap Tiki Zine. Was that what it was called? Was Tiki Zine?
Tiki News, which there was also later on a magazine called Tiki Magazine, and that's now defunct. And then there was another one. There is another one now called Exotica Moderne. So there has been an ongoing zine since I started mine, but mine was the first, and it was just called Tiki News. Very simple. I worked at a newspaper at the time, and so I wanted to communicate very directly. So I didn't make it anything fancy like the Tiki Tattler. Like in Honolulu in the 30s, there was the Tattler, and newspapers had these
Tiki Tabloid or anything like that.
Yeah, the newspapers had funny names like, the Pilot or the Beacon or the Messenger or something. I just made it news because it couldn't be Tiki Times because I was in LA and it was the LA Times was the big paper then.
Oh,
so
sure.
Tiki News. And so that started in January of 1995, and it was intended to be sent out to everyone everywhere across the U.S. and across the globe and connect other tiki fans who were collecting mugs and going to their local tiki bars.
And okay, so this is kind of when I come into the picture.
Great. Enter the picture.
Yes. So, I grew up also in Southern California, and I grew up with thrifting. I loved going to thrift stores. I loved finding sort of unusual items like cool dresses from the 1950s or hats from the 1960s or, tchotchkes and things like that. So I was finding tiki mugs. I was finding cool retro vintage clothing, and I was discovering music through that. I would find an album and like, oh, this is kind of a cool cover, play the album and hear something that was very exotic and kind of unique and different. So I had a love for tiki because, of course, growing up in Southern California, you go to Disneyland, you go to the tiki room, right?
Yep.
So I
Absolutely.
loved that. I loved that kind of escapism and that vibe, but I also love vintage and that aesthetics from the past. And so Otto was living in Venice Beach area. I was living in San Francisco. I started a zine, an online zine or a blog, maybe you would call it now, in 1994 called Baby Does Obsessed, all about my
And you didn't
obsession.
know each other at that time.
Not know each other.
What a
It
coincidence. But you started them at the same time?
kind of, yeah. So around
What a
the same
coincidence.
time. Yeah,
What a
I was
coincidence.
94, he was 95. And what's interesting is that I was obsessed with other people's obsessions. And so zines, the zine culture, the zine world was a big part of that. So of course I love tiki already. So when I heard of Tiki News zine, I was like, oh my gosh, there's this person who's obsessed with tiki stuff just like me.
Just like me.
Just like me. And Otto came up to San Francisco for an event, a historic guy that was playing, Corla Pandit. And we met at this show. He was kind of like a friend of a friend, and we hit it off. And the rest is sort of history. Like then we started producing events together from there, from 1996 on. At first, really to showcase and celebrate Tiki News, which was bringing all of these like-minded people together and give us an opportunity to get creative with things like music or dance. And we just started having fun, starting to produce events together. Once we were together.
And you, which is a great story. You already were in entertainment or production of some kind already. Is that correct?
I had, when I started putting out the zine, I was active in the lounge scene with a band called Combustible Edison from the East Coast, from the
Okay.
Boston area. And so, I knew a lot of people within that scene, like radio show hosts, like from college radio, the Molotov Cocktail Hour on KXLU radio in Los Angeles. And I had been up on their radio show once. And so when it came time to put out the zine, I knew how I wanted to promote it. I wanted to promote it by doing radio shows. I wanted to promote it by going to Combustible Edison shows and passing out flyers. And I wanted to host my own events. So I had art show happenings where I would have an art show, and then the artists would be selling their art, and the art and artists would be the people that were involved with Tiki News. They had done the cover artwork for one of the issues. And then I would have a DJ or a band play, and I would have vendors. Like if I knew a guy who made tiki necklaces, like if he carved tiki necklaces, he would be there selling them. So anybody who came from the neighborhood or from Hollywood or, just to see what a zine was about or check out the band or something, they could buy a tiki necklace. Or, the next time it was a guy making candles, or,
Sure.
people would make, wherever I had it, I would try to get them to do a tropical drink, like a,
Of course.
Scorpion punch or something,
Of
So people
course. Yeah.
produce-
Why not?
yeah, there's all these elements, the tiki scene, the exotica scene from the 50s till now, has all these different elements. It has the clothing that you wear. It has jewelry that you wear. It has
The cocktail.
culinary, food, like at Trader Vic's. It has the cocktails, of course, like, Don the Beachcomber and Trader Vic cocktails, these
Right,
tropical
yeah.
drinks.
Absolutely.
It has the music, and then, of course, the art. And so I was trying to make sure that as many of those elements as possible were there. Could we have poo-poos? Could we have cocktails? And then, of course, the music and the art. And then everybody wear Hawaiian shirts. So everybody was in fashion. And I wanted to put that all together every time that I had an event. So that it wasn't just an art gallery opening, or it
Right.
wasn't just a band playing at a club.
I think what's really unique about what Otto was starting to do in the early 90s is the realization that bringing people together that had a like interest was actually getting to be kind of powerful. You would go to, say, a bar or a restaurant that maybe had been around for 30 or 40 years at the time, and they were thinking about shutting their doors. Then all of a sudden, 100 people are showing up, ordering Mai
Absolutely.
Tais, and they go, "Well, maybe I should keep this business open another year."
Absolutely.
He was
Yeah.
really instrumental in just bringing people together and just getting
Mhm.
people to, like, um, enjoy what we had. Because in the 90s, things were starting to close down. A lot of
They
the
were.
places that we loved, had maybe had their heyday in the 1950s or 60s, and, it's 30 years
Nothing left.
later, and they were starting to shut their doors, and so when I met Otto, that was one thing that really stood out for me is that he wasn't just wanting to throw a party for his friend. He was friends. He was hoping to throw a party for his friends and his friends' friends, so that everybody would kind of get the idea of, the experience of like this vibe of loving this tiki stuff, but also just mid-century modern, historical preservation. Let's keep these places alive.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
in the early days, like in Los Angeles, some of the places that we frequented, and I brought gangs of people to were Madame Lou's, which is now gone, and Kelbo's, which of course the building is kind of still there, but Kelbo's itself is gone, and the
Yes.
Tiki Tea. The Tiki Tea has always been successful, but when I started going there, you would never see anybody in a Hawaiian shirt. And now when you go there, 90% of the people are in Hawaiian shirts. So it's interesting how, it's grown and we've had an influence on, manifesting that and making it really come to life and exist in the real world, yeah, Madame Lou's only had a crowd of 100 people when we brought them in, otherwise there
Absolutely.
were 20 people there,
Sure.
and when I moved to the Bay Area, there was a very strong tiki scene here, and also some really great places like Trader Vic's and the Tonga Room. So we could go to those places, and those were pretty successful. But there was also lesser known places or like Trader Sam's out in the avenues that we would frequent, but we wouldn't have big shows at. I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you found each other, which is great. And you certainly have become the influencers, have you not? I mean, really, you've started. And
Yeah.
not only did you start it, but you've carried it on. We're talking about the 25th year, but that's pretty exciting. And I do have to say, so this year's event is it always in San Diego?
It is. So, we have been doing this event, Tiki News, Tiki Oasis, sorry, Tiki Oasis, for 25 years. We did start the event as a way to promote Tiki News and to preserve a historic Tiki location in Palm Springs. So we did our first 5 years in Palm Springs, and then we moved to San Diego, and we've been there ever since. This event that we never set out to do 25 years, to be honest with you. Like, we're creative people. We always have lots of ideas that,
Sure.
things that we want to do. And Otto was DJing and I was go-go dancing, and we've been doing lots of things. And, we just wanted to create an event that would preserve this old hotel that was maybe on its last legs in Palm Springs, but also bring people together. And the first event in 2001 had 50 people, and now we have over 5,000 people. So, it's really just grown organically over 25 years. We're really proud that we created something that resonates with people, that really is meaningful for.
Yeah, absolutely. You should be proud. And the first location was the Caliente Tropics. Is that correct? And
Yeah,
is it still
Yeah.
there?
it
Amazingly,
is.
it
It
still is
is.
there. Yeah, and it's in good condition. They added tikis during the course of our event, and after we left, they maintained them.
Yeah.
Bosco put in some new tikis there. Bosco's a guy from San Diego, a tiki carver, and there's another event that has taken over there because the place is so great. And so they have two events annually at the Caliente Tropics, which is great for that place. It's a smaller hotel. It's only 88 rooms, and our current hotel has 675 rooms. So it gives you an idea of how much we've grown. I mean, we didn't set out to do an event with 5,000 people. And in fact, in 2001, it would not have been possible to
Yeah.
get 5,000 people, even if I had set out to do that. But, we're in a bigger hotel now, and we sell that hotel out. When we put it on sale, it sells out in 10 minutes because, we have too many people to fit into the hotel.
And from how far do your people come?
Oh, all over the world.
Sweden,
Australia, Japan.
Spain.
It's global. There's
Yeah.
a lot of global people.
Do you have anyone who's with you who was an original?
We have a
few,
handful.
yes, yeah.
You do?
King
Yeah.
Kukulele, who is our MC and plays ukulele, and he's pretty famous around LA and around Disneyland. He's been with us since day one. Lee Joseph is our publicist, and he's also a semi-famous DJ, and he's a musician. He's been with us since day one. Sven Kirsten, who has written numerous books. He wrote The Book of Tiki that was released in 2001 also, which is, really the source, should be the source of knowledge of the Tiki scene. He's been with us since day one. He hasn't been to every single one because he's from Germany, and a couple of years he was in Germany during the summertime and he couldn't come to the event. But he's been with us since day one, and he's still with us. I mean, Pete Maruzzi, who is the guy who originally requested that we throw this party, he's written several books and he has spoken at our event a couple times. So a lot of the original people are still there. Our general manager for Tiki Oasis, Jim Giddings,
it's sort of like
came to the second year.
Once you're come, you're hooked, right? So we used to, like in the early days, friends of ours are not into this at all would say, should I come to that? Should I come to your event?
Why not?
And
Yeah,
I don't know if that'll be for you. And everybody that would come to the event, by the end of the event, I'd see them with a Hawaiian shirt on or a flower in their hair and drinking a tropical cocktail. And they're like, I'll see you next year. So it's sort of like once you come, you're hooked because it's such a lovely vibe. It's very welcoming. Everybody is, it's just truly an opportunity to escape your everyday life. So everybody's just in a really good mood and there's a lot of joyful happiness there.
It really grew by word of mouth the first 5 years,
Yeah, I'm sure it did. I'm sure it did. So how have your individual talents brought come together to this event, and how have each of them created this unique event?
Well, I would say we blend. We blend very nicely together. Yes, a lot of blending. There's certain things that I like. I'm very much into fashion. I'm very much into things like dance. I host a burlesque show at our event. I also have a round of go-go dancers that do 1960s style authentic go-go dancing. I love history, so Otto does as well. So we have a lot of history, and we spend a lot of time on it. I am I am definitely the organizer. I am the person that's very organized, that keeps us on our deadlines. But we're both dreamers. We both love to come up with really wild ideas, and most of them actually end up happening at Tiki Oasis, and that's really fun, So, whatever that might be, it might be oh, let's add a car show, or let's add a Miss Tiki Oasis, or let's add, a gorilla dancing at the pool, whatever our ideas are, we've been able to see that become a reality. So I feel like we both bring something to the event. But at this point, since we've been doing this event for 25 years, and before that, another 5 or so years that we were also producing events, we're kind of, it sort of blends a lot together what our talents are.
We organically became event producers. I threw events every few months to promote the zine. And so when I was living in LA between 95 and late 96, I had thrown, I don't know, 5 or 6 events between that time. And I had a mailing list of 900 people. And then eventually I had a list of bands and DJs and artists who could contribute to the zine and, play my events. And before that, I had an annual backyard party. So I had gained a reputation as the tiki guy in town in LA because for 10 years, I hosted a backyard party that drew about 300 people into my backyard in Venice.
Otherwise known as legendary tiki parties.
Absolutely.
I've heard about those in San Francisco.
Absolutely.
So
go ahead.
I got my start. But, before that, my whole life, I guess, I've been a graphic designer, mostly in advertising. So that's a good skill to have, to make flyers and to think about, marketing and how to promote things. And that's basically the only skill I have, the only career that I have. But I've always been into music also, and so DJing was kind of a natural thing for me because I enjoy music, I love music, but I'm not a musician. So playing other people's music is a good fit for me. So now I'm able to put those two things together at Tiki Oasis.
And do you have themes for every year?
Oh, golly, do we have themes?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
We-
what
we
were
do
so what
have a
have been
theme.
some of your most favorite themes?
Yeah.
We do have favorite
We
things.
do have
You
favorite
go
themes.
first.
Well, we started the themes like what year? Maybe
Well, kind of the
couple
second
years
year,
later.
but really the
Yeah.
third year we started.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the themes were a great way for us to pick the bands and maybe the DJs that would
Okay.
It was a way for us to differentiate the tiki world, so that it wasn't just tiki all the time. It is tiki all the time,
Yes.
but with it, when we have a theme, then I feel like we're allowed to like think out of the box a little bit, and so we would choose genres that were tangential to the tiki movement. So genres from the 50s and 60s, like sci-fi or space age or
Beatnik.
beatnik. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, things that were happening concurrently to the original tiki craze of the 50s and 60s.
So one of my favorite themes was in 2012 we did a spy theme, exotic espionage. And what was so great about that theme is that people really got into it. So we had prior to the event, people were creating kind of anti tiki movements, like pretending to be like anti tiki, but they weren't. They were like the bad spies.
Agents of sober who were
Agents of
against
sober.
rum.
They were against.
Oh, of course.
Yes, I
The
started
bad guys, the evil, the villains.
the villains, and I started an all girls group, Agents of Aloha, where we would go around and do a little go dance, and that was like I feel like the first year where every part of the event really came to life. So the music, the fashion, the creativity, people were leaving things on the hotel
like scavenger hunt kind of thing.
Like they would in the lobby, you would pick up a newspaper and have like holes cut out for the eyes so you could spy on people. Somebody set up like a video camera in the TV in the tree with a light going off. The video camera wasn't doing anything. It was
but
just
it looked like you were being spied.
It looked like you were getting
upon.
spied on. Somebody in their hotel room, this couple had put a sheet in their window, so it looked like they were dancing behind
a silhouette.
Fun.
One was stabbing the other, so I feel like that was like the first year it really blossomed, this idea of having a theme beyond just the music. And we loved it so much, we actually did the theme again in 2017 with international intrigue. So we kind of like redid the theme because we loved it so much.
International.
What a great idea, and what a fun theme.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. We cover all the aspects, right?
Yeah.
Like anything that anybody's into, like if they're into monster models from the 50s, okay, we'll do a monster theme, and if they're into, like we said, beatnik stuff, or if they're into, Herb Albert or something, in the Tijuana Brass, we'll do a South of the Border theme, and we'll have a Herb Albert tribute band, so it's not just Martin Denny music all the time. It's Martin Denny at the pool, and then in the evening. So that segues into another theme that I liked a lot, which you liked a lot too.
Yeah.
Really was Hawaii A-Go-Go, because she had a go-go troupe. So her troupe performed multiple times for Hawaii A-Go-Go, but that was like Waikiki in the 60s, like Elvis and Don Ho.
Absolutely.
It's the next step after Tiki, sort of, right? Like Tiki was 50s, 60s, and Hawaii A-Go-Go's like later 60s, early 70s.
Yeah.
But and we've gone like way out there too. Like say in 2006 we had the Magic of Tiki.
That was your favorite theme.
Nobody knows what that is. Who knows what the Magic of Tiki is? We had a magician was our like headlining act on Saturday night. James DeMare was this Frank Sinatra style magician from Las Vegas.
Okay.
And so he was our headliner for the Magic of Tiki.
And the themes
sounds.
They're all amazing, and the themes are always a great way for us to have our creativeness, come to light, come to the top. We really can just have a lot of fun with it, and our audience has fun with it. This year is our 25th anniversary. No theme. other than just us, Tiki Oasis. We've done it for 25 years. So, we tell people like, come and you can wear any costume from the past, or you can get inspired. We have an art show. So, the artists usually do an art piece based on the theme. But this year it's like you could do anything from the past. So,
But they can just do a 25-year anniversary, and that in itself is going to be, I mean, I'm sure that that's gonna be a collector's piece.
I would hope so. Yeah.
Certainly. Yeah, and you guys is and when you have a theme like that, at least for me, I get kinda crazy, like, how crazy can I get, right? What's the craziest thing I can do with this theme,
Yeah.
right? And I'm sure you have people that are doing that as well, like you guys. Like, if we
Oh,
have
yeah.
this theme
Fireworks shooting out of your hat.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
yeah, or something like that. You're
We definitely have lots
absolutely
of things to cooking for this year. One of the things that we're doing is actually a little exhibition of all the 25 years, because we have made tiki mugs for, I guess, 20 of the last years. We've made a tiki mug for the event every year. We always make a printed program and stickers and merchandise and photos and videos. We have so much stuff that we wanted to share that we're actually doing a little mini exhibition at the event, just to showcase like what we've been doing all this time.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing, and I'm so glad that we've discovered this and we can tell everybody about it. So, tell me, how has the community changed over the years since you first started? What stayed the same and what's changed the most?
That's a great question.
Yeah, that's a good question because a lot of the people originally came from my zine, Tiki News, who originally came to the event. I had a mailing list of 900 people, and the last issue I printed 3,000 copies of. So the zine was getting pretty big, so I was able to reach a lot of people.
Yeah.
So originally, all the attendees in Palm Springs knew about the zine, and that's what bound them together. And then there was a what would you call it? A website, Tiki
Yeah.
Central, where like a bulletin board style website where people could meet. And so that drew in a lot of people, and a lot of
Yeah.
people had that as a common ground.
Well, the internet made a big difference
But
with
then the internet
producing,
Absolutely. Yeah.
all of our events in the late 90s were based on people that we were meeting either in person or somebody knew somebody. And then eventually, the internet came into play and it became broader, right? So at
Right.
first, the Tiki Oasis was more for people who knew what tiki was. They probably had a tiki mug. They probably had a Hawaiian shirt. They were kind of into this. And then once people started coming to the event, it changed. It was less about the collectors, although the collectors still come, people that like mid-century modern, like historic preservation, they still come to our event. But some things have changed along the way. The pinup culture became really big. So that's, women that are getting their hair and makeup done as if they're in the 1950s or 60s. That it really has blossomed a lot in the last 20 years. The cocktail scene has changed tremendously. Back in our early days, it was impossible to have a venue make good cocktails like these. Nobody knew how to make a Mai Tai, like it was
Really?
just garbage. You were getting, just not very good drinks. And people started to become more aware of that. And then this whole craze around cocktails and tropical cocktails became a big part of our event. So a lot of people come to our event because they want to meet some of these cocktail experts that we showcase, or they want to taste all the drinks. So there's a
Sure.
lot of those, and that I think that was like one of the bigger shifts. All along, we've had music fans, we've had people that get what we're doing, and we've also have people have grown up going to Tiki Oasis. They were babies, at the beginning, and now they're grown up and they're bringing their friends. Our son, I was pregnant with our first son at the very first Tiki Oasis in
Is that
2001.
right?
He's 23 now. He brings a group of his friends, and we keep it going, right?
So, what does the 25th anniversary mean to you? Did you ever, when you had the first one and you said, okay, let's do this again, this was fun, or now that we've learned all this, now we should do it next year and don't make those same mistakes? How did this progress to now you're 25 years?
Yeah, we did say all that, what you just said. And then as we started to grow, we saw like, say, a couple, our friends, Rich and Gretchen, they wanted to get married at Tiki Oasis. I
Oh,
think
sure.
number 4
Yeah.
or the 4th year or something.
Yeah.
And at that point, we realized like, wow, this means a lot more to people than just, showing up to see a band or
Right.
showing
Oh,
up to a
definitely.
vendor marketplace to buy some stuff or, to get a
Yeah.
tiki mug or something. This means a lot more. It's a community and it's growing pretty fast. Like the first 5 years, we literally doubled our audience. So we went from 50 to 100 to 200 to 400 to 800 in the first 5 years. So we very quickly realized like, wow, this is going to go on for a long time. We didn't say like, let's plan out the next 20 years.
Yeah.
We never said that. We've always lived, for the present, like we could only think about 1 year at a time. I mean, maybe our themes,
I
you might think a
yeah.
couple years in advance.
Well, I
But
feel like our 10-year anniversary, we looked at each other, we're like, we made it to 10 years.
yeah,
Like,
we thought,
and then
well,
I think we both
how
looked at
long
each
is
other,
this going to go
maybe
on?
we could do another 10 years. Do you think
Yeah,
we could do
maybe.
another 10 years?
Maybe. We didn't know though. Like we didn't know if
Yeah.
at 10 years that was the peak. Like if, 1,500 people was the most tiki fans that we could get in California. We didn't know.
Yeah.
And so now, since our 10 year, we've, doubled again or more than doubled,
Yeah, how exciting. And have you ever wanted to give up?
Oh, well,
Only on like Saturday night during the event. But then when Monday rolls around, we're like, when can we do this again?
Right,
Yeah.
right. Only when you say, why did we do this again? Why didn't we quit?
Yeah,
Right?
why am I
Well-
standing here? Not sleeping for 5 days.
It is a lot of work, and for years, only the last couple of years have Otto and I not had full-time jobs. So for many years, we had full-time jobs. And this was our fun job. This was our passion project. So, we'd get home, we'd feed the kids, we'd tuck them into bed, and then we'd work on Tiki Oasis for 2 or 3 hours until we passed out for years.
And then when Tiki Oasis came around, that was our vacation and the kids' vacation too.
Yeah.
They didn't go to the Grand Canyon or something. They went to San Diego.
Went to Tiki Oasis. Yes.
Yeah.
And, it was a lot of sacrifices. And so I think when you have something that you're so passionate about and people love it, it's really hard to stop. Like the idea of ever not doing it is not, certainly crossed our mind, but it wasn't very sticky because we wanted to keep going.
Yeah, sure. And if you're like me and so many of us who have these creative spirits and entrepreneurial spirits, you just can't stop. You just want to do more and more and more and more. And to some extent, you believe that you're giving something to other people, right? Like if I gave this up, who would do it, right? Who would pass this on to these people?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They
That's a good point.
wouldn't have anybody, right?
I know. Well, and we're very thoughtful about what we present and what we bring. Like we try to make things different every year. We just no 2 years are the same, so that it keeps it interesting for us. We are always sort of pushing ourselves to think in different ways or present different things, and it makes, I think that the audience and the people that attend and even our volunteers and our crew and everybody that's part of it always kind of have this anticipation of like, wow, you're
it gonna
creating something
be?
that's very magical and very different. And no other event is like this. And that's because it comes from our heart.
And our expertise.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was way into the music before I started Tiki Oasis.
Yeah.
So I already knew what the authentic music was and the type of music
Yeah.
that I wanted to be presented there. So, it took a while to make it happen because there was no Exotica bands playing Exotica music in 2001. But now there are a handful and they've all been at Tiki Oasis.
Well, the other thing that you mentioned was that how things have changed. So, for example, with the drinks, right? And with technology. And now you can you can do things in a room or in a venue that you couldn't do before. You've got a venue where you can get more people there. And with the change of technology and drinks and people are participating, it makes it a lot more fun and you're able to do new things.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
So the
new
things you're
tiki
doing now,
bars-
you could have never done at the first event.
Correct.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And new tiki bars have opened up, since 2001. Like before 2001, there was hardly any new tiki bars in America. There was the Lava Lounge in Hollywood and then the Purple Orchid down in El Segundo. But a lot of new tiki bars were not opening up. But then after 2001, they started, and now there's been a lot of them. And now almost every major city has a new tiki bar in it.
I would say every major city does have a tiki bar in it at this point, and also things like the fashion, it used to be impossible to find hair flowers for your hair or a really cool caftan, and now there's many companies that are making those and doing them right, like really unique and interesting fabrics and styles and colors, and so it's really fun to see how much this has exploded and it continues to grow.
And you've touched on this, but how has the tiki culture grown? And you've talked about the new bars and things like that. But wasn't there a time when it kind of died down a little bit and then it blossomed up again?
Oh, well, it did, yeah. I mean, if you read the book of Tiki, it tells the progression of Tiki and then the demise of Tiki. In the 70s there was disco and the equality movement, like women's equality and stuff that were focusing on these socio-political things, and people didn't want a fake escapism of going into a dark tiki bar and hanging out in a place with fake rain on the roof. But in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, that was
Yeah, sure.
outrageous. That
Yeah,
was
sure, of
like
course.
Disneyland, around the corner from your house,
Sure.
dinner at
Yeah.
Disneyland in your own town,
Yep.
and then, the allure of that, the newness of that, sort of Disneyland effect sort of worn off. And with the 70s and the 80s is like, 70s is the me generation, and the 80s even continued that more with, movies like Top Gun and Wall Street, these like, uh, getting ahead and getting it for yourself kind of things. And it was less about having a luau in your backyard and having
Right. That's true.
community. It was more about being authentic. And I mean, World War II had the Pacific Theater, and then you had James Michener writing South Pacific, the book, the record, the musical, the movie, that were major hits for a long period of time. Like 10 years, they were
Yeah.
hits. And people enjoyed the good parts of the Pacific Theater, the fun and escapism and newness of it. But then in the 70s, you had the Vietnam War, and people said, "Oh, we don't want to go to the Pacific Theater anymore."
No,
we,
yeah, yeah,
we don't want
yeah.
bamboo
No,
anymore.
we don't wanna go there.
But
Absolutely.
so yeah, there was this dead period, like say
The dark days of
the
tiki.
late 70s through the all through the 90s,
Yeah.
all through until the mid or late 90s.
And we would go to places in the 90s when we were first together that we were like, we were the only people there, and we're thinking, "Oh, this is not long for this world," It's a great place, a great atmosphere. The food is not so good, the drinks are terrible, like, we wouldn't even want to get our drink there, but we were
Yeah.
there because of the atmosphere, and we
I
saw
guess, well,
that,
since they're gone, we can say
and
it. The Hong Kong place in
oh, yeah.
Ventura,
Yeah.
right? Like we'd always go there whenever we were in town, and
It was just
yeah,
it was falling
that's
apart, and there just was no money to put back into it. So the kind of that, the type of food, the types of drinks, all of that just sort of became out of favor, and then we started to see just start to have a little bit more of these places opening up in the late 90s, and that,
Yes.
was like the inkling that, like, maybe this could be something, like, maybe people will get back into this, and now there's all of these places, these bars that are opening up, and restaurants. They have very creative food, very creative drinks. It's a culinary experience as well, as a visual experience, and it's really changed. It's hard to explain like how much it's changed. It's just it's more what people are doing now. They're putting money into these places. They're building them out. They're spending the time to do it right. And that to me, makes me feel like these places are going to be around for a while.
and their clientele now are
Yeah.
new young people, like say in their early 30s, late 20s, who
Mm,
have enough money to enjoy the experience
mm,
and want to go to these new places. So it's not just people like us who went to the old places originally that were still in existence, 25 years ago, and now we want to go back to another one. No, it's new young people that want to go to a new tiki bar that they've heard is opening, because they want that same experience that people had 40, 50 years ago. They want that same experience. It's not that they want that old experience, that they don't want a replication of that original experience, but they do want the same experience now. in a
Right.
contemporary
On
setting.
their terms and in their language, so to speak. And yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. My son has a huge collection of tiki mugs. When I'm preparing and meeting you, I was thinking maybe I didn't appreciate those enough. And now
Oh,
I
you should have
certainly do.
brought.
He
We
has
could have
dozens of them. And we
tiki
kept saying,
stories.
what are you gonna do with these? Right. But he has dozens of them. Tell me, if someone comes to Tiki Oasis, what are they going to see?
Oh,
Okay, so let's present two
Because
different
I think that people
we're
need
used
to see what all the different elements. I quite
yeah,
frankly was
there's a lot.
surprised.
I mean,
So you do
it
daytime and
is,
I'll do nighttime.
well, I was gonna say it's 5
Okay.
nights,
All
4
right.
days. So there's 5 nights that happen in 4 days. We start off with the luau, at a historic place, in San Diego called the Catamaran Resort.
Right.
It's been there since the 1950s, I believe.
Yeah,
And they
at
do
least
a full show. They've got, they bring out the pig. They
it's like
have
an authentic
authentic
Waikiki
Waikiki
hotel
style
luau.
luau. And then Thursday through Sunday, we're at the Town and Country Hotel in San Diego. We
Right.
take over the entire hotel. We have seminars during the day, and everything from tropical cocktails to historic preservation. Like we have a seminar all about bowling alleys. We have hands-on classes that are very popular. People can learn how to make their own tiki lamp or how to paint a black velvet painting. We have somebody that's showing you how to do your hair in a 1950s style
Oh, so
hairstyle.
fun.
Super fun. And then we have the pool vibes during the day. There's actually 3 swimming pools at our
There are.
hotel.
That's
So
true.
people, we have bands at the pool, we have DJs, and we have a huge marketplace. We have 150 different vendors that are artisans. They are actually making tiki mugs, tiki necklaces, sculptures, clothing, caftans, shoes, whatever you can think of, we have it in our marketplace. And then as the sun sets, we have nighttime.
Wait, you left out. We have an art show
Oh, yeah, art show.
and a lamp
Yeah.
art show. So
Yeah.
so people that are more crafty and create decor items often create lamps, and lamps are really popular now. And people have multiple lamps, just like they might have multiple tiki mugs. And then the art show is a good creative outlet for people that are in our community and are artists and are expressive and are creating tons of art. We have them in our art show.
Yeah.
So, and then people that need art for their tiki bar, they can pick up some real, fine art that's one of a kind. It's like paint on canvas kind of art.
Yeah, we have over 40 artists in the art show and over 20 lamp artists in the lamp show. And we like to, change things up. This year we have a little vintage car exhibition, like a small little exhibition of vintage cars. I talked about earlier, we're going to do an exhibition about the history of Tiki Oasis. So we're always kind of coming up with something fun and different. And at night we have a huge concert. And we have a concert, we have a late night burlesque show, we have lots of entertainment. Sometimes people don't realize like we're actually hosting a concert at Tiki Oasis.
Or vice versa, like they come for the concert and they don't realize, like, what are all these seminars? What are all these people doing?
That's true. They don't-
in these
yeah,
rooms?
that's true, yeah.
What is going on? There's a whole program. We have a 180-page program. It's thicker
Printed
than
program.
most
Printed
magazines.
catalog,
Like
yeah.
it's thicker than Time magazine. Like it's that thick, and it has all of our stuff in it. Pictures of the people doing the seminars and the bands and everything. We have 35 bands playing throughout the weekend. Day and night.
How many DJs?
Oh my gosh, 50? 40?
A lot of DJs, maybe 40.
I mean, the thing about DJs is, I could have a soundtrack. I could create a soundtrack, I could create a list of great songs that I like to play and have everybody hear. But the DJs are, there's one at the pool, there's one in the ballroom, there's one on the lawn, and they're curating their music. Like if it's kind of slow, they might have mellower stuff. And then if it picks up, they might pick up the pace of the music. So the music is always curated for the audience at any given time. I mean, people might not notice that, but it's not just a soundtrack that's playing in the background,
Of course not.
DJ, it's being served to them sort of, it's being curated just for them. And so that segues into the bands, and then the bands, we have it outdoors on the lawn. So they have to end at 10 p.m. because of the curfew. And then we have the
burlesque show. We have a late night burlesque show. So there's sort of something for everybody. We always say, like, you can make your own journey at Tiki Oasis, right? So you can come with your family and go in the swimming pool and go maybe shopping in the marketplace, or you can
And you could end the night with some bands on the lawn,
yeah, or you can be staying out till 4 a.m. In with a lampshade on your head in one of our suites. So there's sort of something for everyone, and people get to pick and choose what they want to do. I often hear people say, "Well, this year we're bringing the kids, but next year we're not." So there's sort of like a little bit of like what kind of experience you want to have, and you can have very different experiences, and people can dip in and out. So it is a full weekend event, but people could come just to the luau, or they could come just to the marketplace. The marketplace is free Saturday and Sunday. I mean, why wouldn't you come?
Of
It
course.
doesn't cost anything.
And it's there at the Town and Country Hotel?
At the Town and Country.
Yeah,
So
it's all day long.
Saturday,
It's 10
Sunday.
a.m. until 4 p.m.
Yeah. So people could do that. People could pick a la carte if they want to go to a seminar, if they want to see Charles Phoenix talking about Googie architecture. They can just go to that. So there's sort of something for everybody. That we want people to come for the whole weekend, because we believe that that's the true experience. Like,
Of
come for
course
the
it
whole
is.
thing, stay on property, or even stay in one of our sister hotels. Buy a weekend pass. Check out everything. That's the true experience.
Well, not only that, I mean, San Diego's a great place to visit anyway, even if you
is.
weren't coming for this, but because there's always something to do there as well. So if you come for you, and you can stay for San Diego. So I'm a newcomer, all right? It's my first time here. What do I need to wear, and what do I do when I arrive?
So you'll probably arrive on Thursday, which is
Alright.
great. You'll have a sort of a way to segue in, or maybe you'll arrive on Wednesday, the kind of pre-party, and you'll do the luau. If you do that,
Oh.
then you're sitting at a table and you meet people already. So then when you hit the hotel on Thursday, you already know some people. And then my next tip is, I'm going to skip Thursday. I'm going to move right to Friday. My next tip
Okay.
is,
All right.
the Friday marketplace opens privately just for Tiki Oasis people, not to the public. And a
Oh,
lot of people go right in there and they buy their jewelry and their clothing that they can wear on Friday night and on
oh,
Saturday and on Sunday. So they hit the clothing and the hair flowers and the jewelry
oh,
on
oh,
Friday in the market.
oh.
Yeah.
And so should I bring, assuming I didn't plan on buying anything there, is it all Hawaiian shirts? What should I be wearing?
Well, I think, the
You
thing
can
is,
come as you are.
there is no
Obviously, I missed the memo today, but
there's no true dress code. I mean, honestly, I always say wear something colorful. It doesn't even have to be Hawaiian. If it's colorful, it's fun, it's joyful, it'll blend right in with the Tiki Oasis experience, right? But a lot of women like to wear caftans. So we have a whole group called the Aloha Caftan Society, which has chapters all around the world now. And there's
really,
300 or
and
400 women and men actually, that show up and wear caftans.
did you start this?
We with a group of friends, yes. So there was this is a great story, because this is very Tiki Oasis. A handful of folks started doing these little meetups on their own with their own friends. We had a Mumu Caftan meetup with one group. We had the LGBT Tiki group. They had a wear a wet caftan, which basically meant wear a caftan and then jump in the swimming pool. And then another group
Pass
wore
on that one.
and then just said, hey, let's all wear our most favorite caftans. And they had 10 friends. And then eventually we turned it into an official meetup at Tiki Oasis. And we named it the Aloha Caftan Society. We've been doing it for 2017. And now we have about 300 or 400 people that show up for the parade. We parade around the pool.
And then that provides eye candy for everybody at the pool. You're sitting at the pool enjoying a drink, or you just got out of the water, you're drying off, and you look, and here's this constant parade. It takes 15 or 20 minutes to go by you, of people in caftans, colorful caftans.
And that's very typical. Like at Tiki Oasis, people will find others. There was a few women that were wearing mermaid tails in the swimming pool, kind of lounging by the pool with a mermaid tail. Now there's about 20 of them that show up on Saturday afternoon with their mermaid tails on. We have a pooch parade. So
Oh, sure, of course.
their pups
The
and they
dogs.
dress up the pups in their outfits, and that's gotten very elaborate. We do that on Sunday. So a lot of like we have a meetup called the Animal Prowl. So you wear anything leopard print or zebra print, and we all meet up and do some group photos
And
and
the
things like
cabana
that.
strut
And there's a cabana strut where
for the men.
for the men or people that like to wear short shorts. So the matching shirts and shorts, and they walk
I
around the
see that.
circle. So there's a lot of these like community meetups. So what's fun is you can express yourself as much as
However
you
you want to.
participate.
As much or as little as you want.
Exactly. You
Don't
could just
rush.
show up and just watch,
You can
right?
watch.
You could just show
Okay.
up and kind of like just see what it's all about. You don't have to actually participate, which is just as fun. And often people will come and they'll say, I saw all the people wearing really fun hats and really creative hats. Next year, I'm going to make a hat,
Yeah.
So that's part of like the fun and the allure of the event is like it's something for everyone.
So tell people, how can they be a part of this? How can they find you? How can they sign up? What do? They pay in advance? How does it work?
So,
Tiki Oasis.
unfortunately, hotel rooms are sold out at our main hotel, but we do have a partner hotel nearby that's conveniently named the Seven Seas.
And you just go to tikioasis.com.
Yeah,
So
go to tikioasis.com, our website.
It has all the information on tickets, hotel. It has our whole schedule on there. And we
Thought
also
that it was amazing. The things I was surprised, all the things that you have there for people to do and see.
yes.
We're adding more stuff every day.
Yeah.
So if you went there yesterday, we'll have different stuff next week.
Yeah.
We're adding the schedule and more details. But yeah, all the bands are up there. The seminars are up there.
And we have an Instagram, and we're
Yeah, if you
starting
wanna
a TikTok. We're trying to keep it up on all the socials.
We have a YouTube channel called Tiki Oasis TV where people can see videos from past years.
Yes, I saw some. Yes, it's great. So we have to ask, will we see you 25 years from now?
How old we'll be senior citizens then?
We're all senior citizens. Yes,
It's funny because I do think that, we hope that the spirit of Tiki Oasis continues. And, we always joke with our kids. We have 2 kids, they're 19 and 23, that they have to take over.
Yeah, we're going to pass the torch. We're going to pass the tiki torch.
Tiki torch to our children. They see how hard we work. They see how much we do to put this together. So I think they're kind of like, I'm not sure I want to take that on. But I know that the spirit of Tiki Oasis will always live on, and hopefully we could do it as long as we can. And that's our goal.
Well, you certainly have shown us how passion and creativity and community and a little touch of tiki magic can grow into something really unforgettable. So for our listeners and our viewers, if you ever have wanted to sip a cocktail under the swaying palms, dance poolside to a surf band, or rediscover the art of celebration of tiki, this may be your new favorite tradition. Thank you so much from all of us here at SoCal with Val for joining us today. And thank you for being a part of our show and letting us experience from this side all there is about Tiki Oasis. And we will come and visit you. We will come.
Thank you, Val.
So until our next show, to our listeners and our viewers, stay curious, stay bold, stay golden, and we will see you next week at SoCal with Val. And oh, by the way, the dates for your show, tell us.
Oh, great. Wednesday, August 6th through Sunday, August 10th. 4 days, 5 nights.
So we'll have lots of summer weather still.
Oh,
yeah, it'll be
perfect.
good.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you.
you.
Thank you very much for sharing Tiki magic with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.